Hi, Steph.
Hi.
You're really good at this. You are really good at this.
Is that sarcasm?
No!
This is my art teacher, Nancy.
Hi, guys.
You might have heard about her if you watched my Draw My Life video. I mentioned she was kind of like a mother figure to me growing up. Did you watch that video?
I did.
Did you like it?
I loved it. It would have, had I written it and I done the drawings, some things would have been different, but it wasn't mine.
What would you have said if you were me doing the video? What would you have like brought more emphasis to?
Well, I don't know how much you wanted people to know this, but there was so much of your life that was so difficult, and oops, kind of makes me cry.
Oh, don't
yeah,
cry.
because like, it was so hard. It was so hard to be you. Things got hard, you know, the time when your dad, you had to call the police because you were afraid your dad was going to kill you. I remember that. I remember when that happened, and I remember just the years of that stuff going on, this terrible treatment, and people may not be able to understand just how far you've come if they didn't know how much you suffered.
Mm.
I mean, the fact that you survived is a miracle. And then you did all these crazy things, like going across country by yourself. I was like, no, don't go. Remember how afraid I was for you?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I was freaking out. I was just so afraid. I'm so paranoid, I can't imagine doing that. And you just went and defied all of the odds of a young girl traveling alone across the country, and you made it. And you made it without any danger.
And I'm still alive.
And you're still alive to talk about it, which is just the best part. Yeah.
We should talk about how we met. We met because my grandmother found you through her church.
When Grandma was looking for art lessons, this is right after Steph's mom died, she was looking for art lessons for her very talented granddaughter. She started off her first class, and the first thing she did, I got out of her because she really wasn't very verbal. I got out of her that she liked penguins. So I was like, okay. I said, have you ever worked with pastel? And she said, mm-mm. And I said, okay. I said, well, let's try. You got an image you want to work with? And she looked it up and she found it for me. And it was two penguins doing what penguins do, which is bow their heads to each other. And it makes like a heart. You know, two penguins looking at each other like this with their heads down. And it formed this beautiful heart. Am I right? So I teach her how to work with pastels. She had never done it before. And she whips up this drawing that, you know, we call it pastel painting. She whips up this painting that is just like phenomenal for the first time through. I'm like, oh my gosh. She could practically teach the class on, you know, pastel painting at that point. I'm like, okay, she's 13. Where am I going with this? And so, like, from there, I knew I had this, like, prodigy. I had this little prodigy, and I just needed to get her to communicate because there wasn't much happening. She was very shy, which we knew anyway.
I still am.
And she still is, believe it or not. But she had this selective mutism, which she talked about in her video. And the selective mutism was true. I mean, it was real. And so we had a couple of girls in the class at the time, and she never interfaced with anybody, never talked to anybody. So it was now, how do I get this child to talk to me? And I would say to her, so tell me a little bit. I made her talk about her mom, and that was painful. And I knew it was going to be painful, but I knew that it would be a subject that I would be able to hit something. I'd be able to make her communicate about something, and it was something that was going to be really important to her. And so if you ever run across somebody, you know, that's struggling like that, you just keep asking the questions, and eventually you would respond. And it would be hard, but she would do it. Then we get back to class, and class was crazy. I mean, these are like all young kids, right? They're all 12, 13-year-old girls.
Our art class was really small. It was in your garage.
Yep.
And it was just like 4 students roughly at a time. So
4 or 5, whatever.
It was a very small group, and we were all like, we became very close.
We did.
And it was more like therapy for us than even art class.
It was unbelievable. It was, after a while, honestly, some days we didn't do art at all. And I was still getting paid. And I always felt so bad.
But it was good. It was like paying a therapist.
amazing? So yeah, so that evolved too. You know, that really evolved because Steffi didn't trust these girls. She came in the room and it was like, who are these girls? And so they would chase Steffi around. It was crazy town. Katya, who's this girl that was in the class with us for the whole time, for all those years.
I love Katya.
Yeah, Katya's awesome. So anyway, Katya and Steffi would chase each other around the room. I remember it because I was thinking to myself, okay, this has got to stop, because Katya would be picking on Steph and bugging her, and Steph would come back and like try to bite her or something. I mean, we would go through these like crazy episodes, and I'm like, don't, you know, stop. And they're running around the room, and this is in a garage with like packed with art supplies and everything else, like lawnmowers and stuff. And so we had therapy. We had art therapy, and I was a safe person, I think. I think that's what it was.
You made all of us feel really comfortable. And you were like hip with the kids, kind of. You weren't like a weird old lady.
Oh no, God, no. That's because I consider myself, even though I'm like well dressed, I think I'm a juvenile delinquent. I've really never grown up. Steph can tell you. I mean, the craziest things come out of my mouth. But
the best artists are the ones that never grow up.
Well, then you have the most fun. Right? I mean, what fun is there in being a grown-up? Nothing. You know? So it's like, you got to stay on that level as a child. And I have fun everywhere I go, because I don't have to grow up.
You do your adult things, but you still have like that inner child that you let out.
I do.
Quite often.
Thank you.
In a good way.
I'll just tell more of your story, because this is your audience. I love talking about you, and I've always loved. Well, first of all, I love Steph, and she knows that. She knows she's one of my daughters. I've always considered Steph, because she didn't have a mom, that I would be filling in as best I could, even though I could never fill in. But you know, sometimes God puts people in your life and you don't know why, and whether you don't believe in God, it's okay. Something cosmic happens, and certain people enter your life, like stage right. Someone comes in and you go, what are you doing here? They're meant to be there. They're meant to be there at that time. They're meant to spend a certain part of their life with you, and you are growing together, and I feel like Steph and I grew together. I can't tell you how psyched I am that Steph has become, has revealed who she is to you guys, so you can walk through and see what she does and where she's come from. And you're showing people that you can have a very, very tough beginning to life. And I've often said this, that, you know, we're very pure when we're born. We're these little beautiful, beautiful babies. Depending on who our parents are and our life situations, things can get very dark and ugly, and we change. I mean, we just change. Our psyche changes. It adapts, right? We're adaptable beings. So we adapt to these situations which are so painful and so difficult. And then there's the surviving of it, and then not only surviving, but thriving. To think that we are made of the kind of material like Stephanie is, that she can not only survive but thrive, is a powerful example for me. High school was tough for you. It was tough for you. You didn't have a lot of, you weren't winning popularity contests, but you were winning contests in terms of art, because you painted this huge mural at school. I mean, gigantic wall. So everybody was like totally impressed. And so Steffi had like a reputation for that. You know, she carried with her, these are kids that she went to school with that knew Steffi only one dimension. They knew she was shy and didn't talk much and didn't have a lot of like relationships in high school. So when you went to college...
I remember calling you, I think I was at lunch, and I was like, I don't have any friends. And you were like, I think I mentioned this girl, Stephanie,
yeah,
who I later became best friends with. I wanted to hang out with her more, and you were like, okay, so you're going to go sit with her and ask her like all these questions.
Right.
And I was like,
did you do it?
Yeah, I did. And she ended up becoming like my best friend.
Right.
And then she introduced me to all sorts of other people, and then it just grew from there.
Right.
But it was like that one phone call with you that kind of sparked
It was awesome. Because you know what I found out in life? That people love to talk about themselves. Just give everybody an opportunity to talk. Now, Stephanie's not so much, because she's on the introverted side, and introverted people, they still want to talk about themselves, but there just isn't a lot of chance because the extroverts like me talk over them.
I think one good thing about YouTube, I guess, for me is now I'm able to share my story without being interrupted by extroverts or anything like that.
I think it is so cool to video yourself and to let people into a world that they've never encountered before. And your world is a very special world. I mean, it's a complicated world because it came with such a fatal disease. I mean, not everybody has a story that says, I'm going to die by the time I'm 30. I mean, that's heavy. When you live feeling like that's all I have left, right, or these years, it puts a different priority on things in your life. Stephanie's been preparing for her life to end.
And then
soon.
This drug comes out and confuses everything.
Right.
Now what am I supposed to do?
Now you gotta actually get serious. It's like, well, now what?
I mean, not totally serious.
No, never be totally serious.
I'm still gonna do the stupid shit I always do, but with a little bit more thought put into it, I guess. Right. A little more consideration for the future.
Exactly.
You want to show the pictures on your laptop from art class?
Oh.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That's terrifying. Katya is so like devious.
She's so devious.
And I'm so awkward.
Well, you were awkward back then for sure.
I did this drawing for Nancy. I think it was for your birthday or Christmas or something. It was like all the members of art class and Nancy in the middle.
So anyway, so that's our story, right, honey?
Yeah, I just wanted to make this video because I feel like you were such an important part of my life and I haven't really talked about you very much on YouTube yet. Your perspective on life is a really good one to share with the world too.
Thank you, sweetie. Steph didn't have anybody when her mother died. She didn't have anybody, you know, and then I just came skipping along and then she became, you know, she came in my life and she just wasn't an art student. You know, you just weren't an art student. You were just like a little appendage of me. And it just felt so natural for me to just assume that role because my mother didn't have a mom. Any child that loses their mom early knows that you can't replace your mother. So I could only be the second best, you know, I could just be like the fill-in. There are people out there in, you know, in YouTube land that have had the same struggles and you have conquered them. You've conquered them. All right. Adios. Ciao. Ya nos vemos. Bye, guys.
Bye.